ITC Hotels has been one of the boldest stories in the Indian hospitality. New brands, new formats, and a clear strategic vision. Please join me in welcoming the entrepreneurial force behind ITC Hotels, Mr. Anil Chadha, Managing Director of ITC Hotels Limited. With over 3 decades of experience, he has played a pivotal role in shaping the brand's growth across India. Joining him on stage is none other than Ms. Megha Tuli, partner and co-founder at Hotelivate. Megha is responsible for the overall planning and execution of business, as well as ensuring the ongoing strategy of the firm. Please give them a round of applause.
And welcome to HICSA 2026.
Always a pleasure. Your hall keeps becoming bigger and bigger, so may the force be with you. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Mr. Chadha, 30 years with one company, one brand, one vision. I mean, you started out as on the floor as an F&B manager, and now MD of a freshly listed independent ITC Hotels. So we have to start, of course, with the demerger. You've had about a year now operating as an independent listed company outside the larger ITC umbrella. What's the single biggest strategic or operational freedom that this newfound independence has given you?
Well, the independence was always there. It's not new, to be honest with you. The perspective has changed a little bit. Lot more responsibility.
Yeah.
But ITC as a parent company always allowed us to run our division. We used to report to something called a corporate management committee to begin with, and now you report to the board. But yes, the game has changed a bit. There's a huge, there's a new pillar of investors which come along. So in terms of freedom, I don't think much has changed, but I think we can run a bit more faster.
So as part of the demerger, I think you also received about 1,500 crores, for growth and other contingencies. How much of that capital has already been deployed? Where has it gone? And honestly, is that even sufficient for the ambitions that you've laid out? Because 220 hotels is what you've laid out. Will ITC Hotels need to raise any fresh funds in the near term?
See, the path that we chose for ourselves a few years back was the asset-right path.
Yeah.
Not light, but right. Since we came into existence, we started our journey in 1976 or so. And we've run the race pretty well, built some fabulous assets across the country. And they were all a phase of consolidation. And that's the time when we realized that we now need to step out and start looking at managing others' assets. So on the path of asset right, we're not saying that we will not invest. We would continue to invest. On that path, a lot of growth is going to come from the managed portfolio, definitely managing others' assets. We continue to build our own hotels. We have a hotel coming up in Puri. We have a hotel coming up in Vizag. We are adding inventory in Bhubaneswar. We've just acquired land in Yashobhumi, so that path will continue. And you would also look at inorganic opportunities as you go along. So all the 3 pillars will move together, to my mind. You continue to sweat your existing assets. You continue to build on the reserves that you have.
Yeah.
You look out for inorganic opportunities as well. And we're pretty good at it. I mean, the last few years have been pretty strong. We've opened 60 plus hotels in the last 5 years. The bank today we've signed about 119 hotels in the last 5 years. Today we have about 70 hotels in the kitty with about 7,000 odd rooms. So the path of asset right that we've chosen, I think whatever we said 2 or 3 years back, we are completely firm on that. And I'm very, very confident that we would be able to deliver what we aspire to.
So how much of the 1,500 crores is remaining today?
Well, the numbers are all there. As I said, that you bought some land banks, you're looking at some opportunities as you go along. The last 1 or 2 years have also been very strong on the EBITDA.
Yes.
The margins have improved.
Yes, you've had one of the best quarters, Q3 FY26.
Every quarter that you do will always be better than the previous one. So you always say best numbers and all that. So we've had first 3 quarters of this year been absolutely phenomenal.
Yes.
You've grown in occupancy, you've grown in average rates, you've grown in volumes in food and beverage, you've grown on average rates per cover. Your margins have improved. So on the whole, it's been a good story. If I look at our performance over the last 4 to 5 years, the CAGR growth on the top line and the bottom lines have been very encouraging. I think post-COVID era is very different from what it was in terms of our cost structures as well. So it's a satisfying last 5-year journey to my mind.
Yeah. No, the financial momentum is truly very impressive. But, you spoke about shifting the property mix from about 45% owned and 55% managed to about 35% owned and 65% managed. And, that owner-operator conflict is always sort of an inherent discussion and a talking point. In reality, on the ground, how hard is it for you to convince hotel owners to perhaps choose an ITC hotel over a Marriott or a Hyatt or a Hilton or any of the others? What's your pitch to a hotel owner in the room today?
I would lie. I think we are all fighting for the same piece of cake.
Yeah.
All right. But you definitely come with your own, USP. So it totally depends on the location where the owner wants to invest in. I think our performance over the last couple of years comes into play as well. Our food and beverage credentials come into play as well. I think the strength that owners look at is the quality of talent which is available. In one of our strategic pillars, I've outlined that we need to invest in people. This is one thing which is going to be in short supply as you go forward. This stage alone declares so many number of hotels. Where would the manpower come from? So what is really important is that how you're developing talent.
Yeah.
So we go forward with that. And the owners, as I said, the numbers, 5 years back, I could list down the number of MOUs that we had at hand. And today, if you have 7,000 plus keys across all brands, you can well imagine the kind of interest which is there. And I think it's not, I keep telling my development team, they all hear, is that it's not the big who's going to eat the small, it's going to be the fast who's going to eat the slow. So there's enough demand right now. In Welcome Hotels, we signed our 50th Welcome Hotel yesterday. There are 30 operating and there are 21 which are in the pipeline over the next few years. So obviously there's a brand movement out there. Fortune has done rather well. I believe that Fortune will grow further. We launched a new brand called the Mementos.
Yes.
It's been a very, very good opening in Udaipur and Jaipur. We've signed one in Siliguri. We have a hotel coming up in Rishikesh. So it's got good momentum on that side. Story's done well as a brand, which we started, there was a need because I think we were leaving loose change on the table when we were giving away a smaller number of keys. But the brand has done well. I've opened 11 hotels in the last 2 years. We have about another 12 or something in the pipeline right now straight away.
Yeah.
So it's gaining traction by the day. We are also trying to improve the premiumization of all these brands actually.
It's interesting you mentioned all these brands because I think what ITC has done really well is that you've built what is arguably the most complete brand architecture, right? 7 brands. And of course, in theory, you're able to sort of target every price point, every segment. But in practice, does a company of your size actually have the bandwidth to do all these 7 brands justice? Or does your portfolio sort of risk becoming a mile wide and inch deep?
Not really. As I said, that there was a consolidation phase which was required. Once you've consolidated, I think the hub and spoke model actually comes in very handy. So we have people who run these large boxes who can take care of all the smaller ones around them.
Yeah.
So I don't think that. I think the swim lanes of all the brands are very clearly defined. And I felt that there was a little bit of a gap in one of brand. Like, for example, we were not there in the story space.
Correct.
We got into it. We've just launched a brand called the Epic Collection. This is going to be bordering on luxury, actually. Pure play upper upscale.
Okay.
So the number of keys, number of banquet sizes, etc. It's all going to be definitely no compromises on that. We said that we'll sign about 1,000 keys in midterm. I would imagine that will happen in the first year itself. So there's a growing interest on that as well. ITC hotels were always well established. Mementos, I think the start has been absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
On one side, you got classical luxury, and one side you got contemporary, pure play modern, you're looking at memories, etc. So on that front, I think every brand is standing very strong on its own legs, and we believe that all of them have an opportunity to grow further.
Yeah. So, Mr. Chadha, in our sector, these ambitious expansion announcements have become almost sort of like a sport, right? Every brand has like a 500 hotel by 2030 sort of strategy and slide in their investor deck. But you guys did something rare. You actually revised your numbers upwards as opposed to just, all these numbers quietly disappearing. 220 hotels to 20,000 keys by 2030. Now, I want to understand what's underneath it. What is driving this conviction? Are you seeing sort of stronger demand signals on the ground? Is it a better supply pipeline that you're able to see? Or is there something more like structurally that's changing in the Indian hotels space that's driving this conviction for you?
So one thing is for sure that there's enough demand right now. Okay, there's definitely a much more owner interest than it was.
Yeah.
You know, the kind of ROCEs that you generated pre-COVID to post-COVID era, there's definitely a huge demand on that particular front. Looking at this number that we increased our number, see, I personally don't believe in making very bullish headline numbers, statements, etc. I believe that what you must be able to deliver what you promise, and that's important. And what we are looking at is historical past. What have we been able to deliver in the last 5 years?
Yeah.
What is the growth path that we have? What is the kind of, what's your bank at this point in time? What would you be able to do? You're right, we increase the number. I hope every year we can, our job is to keep on increasing that.
Yeah.
But this is not an aspirational number.
Yeah.
This is a completely doable number.
Correct.
And we would be in a position to do that. Definitely, I'm pretty confident. So if you look at the average that you have to do, you have to add about 1,000 odd keys.
Yeah.
And if you opened one hotel a month in the last 5 years, that's the kind of trajectory we have right now. But as I said, that this is the situation of today. We would love that this number keeps improving. That's the whole idea.
Yeah. Okay, so I have to shift gears a little bit. You touched on F&B, and we have to talk about F&B because if you know anything about Mr. Chadha, you know that's where his heart is. Like we mentioned, started as an F&B manager. You've had a hand in building some of the most iconic restaurants, Bukhara, Dum Pukht. And for the audience that's here in the evening, they're very graciously hosting us tonight at the ITC Maratha, and you'll see some of these iconic restaurants on display. So F&B man at the core, and now you're running a publicly listed company where investors are sort of more interested in scale and growth and capital, return on capital employed. Has the F&B obsession become harder to justify to the market, or have you found a way to make them see it as a financial driver and not just a brand differentiator?
I think that's one of the biggest USPs.
Yes.
When people come to you and when they, when you said in the first question, what do people see in ITC hotels? So I think food and beverage is a very important element in the entire experience.
Yeah.
You just can't keep talking about STR and RevPAR.
Yeah.
The whole world is moving towards experience. After check-in until check-out, what goes in between is all food and beverage. And let me correct you on only one thing, that I didn't create Bukhara. I also got it as part of the legacy. Okay.
Yes.
So we have this statement in our company that our legacy inspires our future. I think the bones of this company on food and beverage is very strong.
Yeah.
What we inherited, it's our job now to leave something behind for the next generation. So the Bukharas and the Dum Pukhts came along, but yes, Avartan is a great story that we've created. And the restaurant got great recognition. We already opened 5 of them. And we would continue to, enhance our skills in this journey.
Yeah.
And make sure that you're able to, bring out the best. Because today's youth talent that we have in the company is very, very different. They are very high. They are very high energy people.
Yeah.
And they want to keep trying something new, right?
Yeah.
But in ITC Hotels, we've always believed that the taste is more important than the plate. The plating today can be achieved. I'm a really bad cook, but with YouTube, I can do that. But what is really important is that you got to stick to your knitting and stick to the core, and that is all about food, because the marketing efforts will bring you to the table first time.
Yeah.
The trick is how do you bring you back on the second and the third time. So we'll continue in that journey. A lot of our owners have been rather pleased with the kind of food and beverage bench strength that we have.
Right.
So you open hotels in anywhere, you know that you have the bench strength available. So I always say that we have a big library available at ITC Hotels. You have to figure out which book do you want to open, and we'll make that for you.
But like you said, since F&B is such a core part of ITC Hotels, after the demerger, ITC Limited, the parent entity, continues to collect royalties on Bukhara and Dum Pukht and Dakshin. I mean, these iconic brands are not sitting with ITC Hotels. And as a shareholder, wouldn't, a lot of people see that as a valuation leakage. Isn't that something that you would want to perhaps fix or go after in the long run?
I said, no, legacy inspires the future. They built those brands, so they'd rather keep it.
Right.
But it's part of the same. It's not I think there's Bukharas and Dum Pukhts have been built over the years.
Yeah.
I think some amount of protection which is certainly required. As a general manager of ITC Moria, you cannot touch the left-hand side of the menu. You're not allowed to. You can only touch the right-hand side.
Yeah.
Okay, so the menus remain the same for the last 45 plus years. So is the case with Dum Pukht. You need to preserve your, heritage and culinary excellence for sure, because you have this habit of trying something new. But all these dishes on these menus have been researched for a long period of time. So
Fair enough.
I guess that would be the reason.
Okay, so let's talk about one area where, if I'm being honest, I think the market has been watching ITC Hotels with a degree of impatience, and that's international expansion. Your competitors have obviously been moving very aggressively on the global stage. Taj has many flags globally. Oberoi's had a presence for a long time. Even the Leela recently announced an acquisition in Dubai. And the criticism of ITC Hotels is that, you've had the brand, you've had the balance sheet for so long, you have the product, and yet internationally, you've been cautious to the point of almost being slow. So how would you respond to that?
I would agree with you. It's not that we didn't want to or we don't want to. We certainly want to. And the first property opened in Colombo.
Yes.
It's been a flying start. ITC Ratnadipa in Colombo. We are certainly scouting for assets. Hopefully soon you should hear something.
The Colombo opening is interesting. First international opening, of positive EBITDA already. What has that experience taught you about taking an Indian luxury brand outside of India? What travels well? What doesn't travel well?
Well, I think you need to learn the culture of the land that you are going to be operating. That was something definitely a big learning. In terms of product, in terms of the overall feel, the hotel, the food and beverage, we are pretty confident that it will go off to a flying start. There's certainly a learning from that. How do you adapt that culture? How do you make those people believe what your values are, and how do you take it to the world? Because for them, it's something new. For ITC Hotels are very well known in the country. Every time you hire a kid, he knows that he's joining a large institution, and he's heard about ITC Hotels and things like that.
Yeah.
So there's been tremendous learning on that particular front, and I think wherever you go, you will have to respect the culture. You will have to, respect the people out there and understand. So there should be no division between that culture and our culture. Ultimately, it's a brand, and you all work for a brand.
The theme for this conference, Mr. Chadha, is leadership in a world on fire. And yet here you are revising your targets and estimates and opening all these new hotels. And it does seem a little bit like India is almost immune to the chaos, at least for now. As a leader, how do you square that off? How do you push, a growth agenda with a lot of urgency, while also being genuinely cautious about all the risks that are around us today?
What you're seeing right now is a bit of a turbulent period that you will have to pass through.
Yeah.
You don't really have a choice. If you look at the results of all the Indian hotel companies in the first 3 quarters, they've been rather encouraging.
Yes.
Right? If you look at the growth path in the last 4 to 5 years, in terms of numbers, in terms of margin, it's been quite an interesting journey. I guess we'll have to pass through this phase, which is there. But remember, we all came out of COVID. Okay, that was the biggest,
zero revenue.
the worst phase of life of a hotelier.
Yeah.
So it's not hit that. And last year, technically every quarter something happened. First quarter was Sindoor, next quarter was Air India, third quarter was Indigo, fourth
Correct.
quarter is this war. So I don't think the development is going to stop, as long as the Indian growth story is intact.
Yeah.
Okay, if you look at the Indian GDP growth in comparison to what's happening around the world, if you look at the double income which is rising, if you look at the spends which is rising, if you look at the consumption which is rising, I don't see a problem on that particular front. If you look at our road network which is increasing, all these smaller boutique hotels across India is thanks to driving distance.
Yeah, that's
and that
true.
will continue. So that should not be a problem. The metros are doing well. There is definitely, a demand which is, the thing we believe that, looking at your reports only, we believe that the demand would outstrip the supply in the next few years. So that story is intact. I don't see a problem out there. In fact, I think the growth and development team today has probably 5 times the leads that they had probably 4 years back, at least for us.
But going back to something you touched upon a little earlier in the conversation, and we had a discussion around this yesterday as well, talent, right? Where is the talent going to come from to fill these 220 hotels that you're going to have. I mean, I think Raj Menon yesterday said we haven't really done enough as an industry. I think Dimitri said the leadership style in our industry needs to change. It can't be my way or the highway, right? So have we really done enough as a sector, as an industry, to sort of attract this talent and retain this talent, and what can we do now?
See, your first question to me was 30 plus years in ITC Hotels. I think it's
you're the exception.
Yeah, no. There are out of my entire leadership team, there are about 50% who've spent 30 plus years in this organization. You've actually built it brick by brick. If I look at the luxury hotels that we run, 65% of those general managers, they joined us as management trainees. So we actually invest a lot in talent, as I said, and I think we just got a recognition for, we got number 5 in the best places to work in India. This is not across all sectors. So we definitely invest in a lot of talent. We would love to make them grow, but this generation is impatient. They want to grow faster, all right? So you need to create those avenues where you're able to demonstrate to them that you can. So it's really up to you. And if you look at all our sites, I think we've, as I said, that we've recognized this. And it's important that you create an engaging work environment. You give them opportunity to grow, be absolutely fair and transparent.
Yeah.
And I guess that's the way to go. I'm happy to, when we visit these hotels, we know that, you joined us as a management trainee and today you run these large boxes. It's a heartening moment. We love people growing. That's how it is.
So look, our time's pretty much up, so I'm going to end with maybe 2 or 3 really quick questions for you. So don't think about them too much, okay? Between the Taj and the Oberoi Group, who's the tougher competitor on a daily basis?
Well, they are both competitive. They're both
you have to pick one, Mr. Chadha.
See, they started their journey in the early 1900s. Our journey started in 1975. Maybe you should ask them this question. What do they think about ITC Hotels, who came in 75 years later and deliver the market cap that we have today?
Fair enough. Okay, I'll give you another one then. Between Bukhara and Dum Pukht, if you had to choose one, if only one got to survive, which one would it be?
How can you ask me? They both have to survive. You're going to take away my job. Both these restaurants are very dear to me. But what we have created is a combination of both, which is called kebabs and curries. All right, so that's going to fly because when you look at managed hotels portfolio, I always encourage all the owners. Because if they want to open a 20-room hotel to a 200-room hotel, they all want Bukhara.
Yeah.
Okay? But we've got this combination right. See, remember, you are in India. The largest selling food is Indian food. Okay? In the Indian food segment, it is the tandoori and the curries and the biryanis.
Yeah.
So we have this combination called kebab and curry. So they both will survive. But I have a feeling kebab and curry will outstrip both of them as you go forward.
Okay. And last question. If you only had one more year as MD, what's the one thing that you'll make sure gets done?
Oh, that's a tough one. I guess I'll encourage these guys to run a little more faster.
Great. Thank you so much. You've been amazing. Thank you, Mr. Chadha. I'll take that for you. I'll take a little picture.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chadha and Megha.